Number 11. Clover, the quick-thinking canine. Haley Moore was walking her dog, Clover, in their Stittsville, Ottawa neighborhood one morning last year when she collapsed and had a seizure. The young woman doesn't remember anything that happened between then and when she woke up in an ambulance, but she later learned that the 1.5-year-old rescue pup had stepped in and saved her life. Security footage from a neighbor's home shows Clover rushing over to Haley and then watching passing traffic. The mixed-breed canine then pulled her leash away from her incapacitated guardian's grasp, went into the road, and stopped an oncoming truck, getting attention of the driver, Drayden Otway. He followed the dog to Haley. Otway rang a neighbor's doorbell and alerted them to what was going on so they could summon help, then went back to Haley to do what he could to care for her. In the meantime, another neighbor saw what was going on and rushed over. Clover reluctantly left Haley's side with neighbors to let her parents, Randall and Diane, know what had happened. By the time they returned to the scene, their daughter was being treated by paramedics. While the cause of Haley's seizure was a mystery, the Moore family felt much better knowing that she had her canine companion and protector with her when it happened. Number 10. Gutsy German Shepherd. 40-year-old Gino Wenzel was exercising his German Shepherd, Duke, just outside Cape Town in South Africa one day in 2019 when he was approached by an armed robber. Wenzel saw the thief coming at him with a knife and had little time to react. Duke growled at the man, who plunged the knife into the canine's head. But the brave dog was not about to relent and was prepared to protect his owner at all costs. He kept fighting and managed to scare the robber off before collapsing from his injury. Duke lost a lot of blood, and at first Wenzel thought he was dead. But he noticed that Duke was still breathing and called a friend from a local animal rescue group who helped get the ailing canine into emergency care. The pup managed to make a miraculous recovery from the horrifying wound, even after X-rays revealed that the knife had penetrated his skull. Number 9. Feline saves fallen owner. 84-year-old Ron Williams was living alone in Sturgis, Michigan in 2020 when someone brought him a male cat named Fluffy to keep him company. The pair hit it off right away and soon developed a close-knit bond. Just like any other pet owner, Ron talked with Fluffy a lot. Whenever his phone rang, he would jokingly say, "Ring-a-ding." Ron didn't see this mindless chit-chat as a big deal until he slipped and fell in his bathroom one day and couldn't get up. He laid on the floor for 16 hours with his arm pinned beneath him, not sure what he could possibly do to get the help he needed. The door was closed, his life alert was in another room, and his cell phone was nearby, but out of reach. Luckily for Ron, Fluffy was also in the room. Not knowing what else to do, he said, "Ring-a-ding, Fluffy, you're my only hope." To Ron's surprise, his cell phone fell off the counter and hit his hand less than 5 minutes later. It was as if Fluffy had connected the word ring-a-ding with Ron's phone and knew to get the device to his ailing guardian, who was then able to call for help. Speaking with Fox News after his rescue, Ron credited Fluffy with saving his life, stating that if it weren't for the observant feline, he would have likely died. Number 8. Heroic Shepherd. In what New Hampshire State Police described as a real-life Lassie situation, a Shiloh shepherd named Tinsley tracked down help after her owner was in a serious car crash in the middle of winter. It happened just a few days into the new year when police received a call about a dog running loose on Interstate 89. They chased after the canine and were led to the accident scene, where they found a driver and passenger who had been ejected from a pickup truck. The pair were injured and experiencing hypothermia in the bone-chilling below-freezing temperatures. They needed medical attention and probably wouldn't have made it through the night if Tinsley hadn't led police to them, according to Lieutenant Dan Baldassar, who spoke with CNN. Tinsley's owner, Cam Laundrie, told the outlet that the pup is his guardian angel and said that he's grateful she came to his rescue. He added that it's a miracle that Tinsley had the intelligence to carry out the heroic deed and that he would reward her with her favorite things: treats, meat, and attention. Number 7. Scotty the Hero Horse. Back in 2010, 68-year-old Robert Bennington Jr. visited his brother's farm in Streator, Illinois, known as the Old Moon Farm, and was attacked by a pack of coyotes. He visited the property every morning to feed the horses that live there. But that morning, things went wildly astray from the normal routine. 5 hungry coyotes charged toward Bennington without warning, leaving him helpless to defend himself against them. Bennington saw one of the horses, named Scotty, grazing in a nearby field and called out to him for help. The dutiful horse, who was known for his typically gentle and calm demeanor, fled to Bennington's aid and put himself between the coyotes and their intended victim. Scotty reared, galloped, whinnied, and stomped the ground angrily to intimidate them. In the meantime, 3 other horses approached and stood in unison with Scotty, forming a protective barrier around Bennington so that the coyotes couldn't get to him. They loyally fought back as the coyotes repeatedly tried to charge at Bennington, and eventually the intruders went away. Everyone was okay, thanks to the quick-thinking animals who stepped in on a moment's notice to keep their caretaker safe from harm. Number 6. Pirin the cat. Last summer, an 83-year-old woman fell into a ravine in Cornwall, England. She was out of sight and in a place where nobody could see her, suffering and in need of help. But she was rescued thanks to her quick-thinking cat, Pirin, who alerted members of the public to her presence. After taking the fall and not being seen for a while, the woman was reported missing. Police were helping look for her when Pirin got their attention by standing near the location where his owner fell and meowing loudly and repeatedly. By then, the search had started to seem hopeless, as volunteers had looked practically everywhere they could think of. Knowing that Pirin was attached to his owner and that he was trying to tell them something important, they took his incessant meowing as a cue. The ailing woman was found by a large cornfield near her house, where she had landed after falling roughly 70 feet, 21 meters down a steep embankment. Emergency responders managed to pull her to safety and then took her to a hospital for treatment, which may have never happened if Pirin hadn't led search team members to his owner. Shortly after the incident, USA Today reported that the woman was in good spirits after being rescued and receiving medical care. Number 5. Rescue dog rescues owner. In late 2020, 59-year-old Brian Myers adopted a 6-month-old German Shepherd named Sadie from the Ramapo Bergen Animal Refuge in New Jersey. Just a few months later, he found himself thanking the canine for returning the favor and giving him a second chance at life. Before Sadie left the shelter, it became clear to staff members that she has a tendency to become nervous around men. But she and Brian nevertheless formed a special bond, and she found a forever home with her new guardian. When Brian suffered a stroke early last year, Sadie stayed by his side the entire time, licking his face in an apparent effort to keep him conscious. She also reportedly helped pull him across the room so he could reach a phone and call for help. Without Sadie, Brian may not have been able to get the urgent medical care he needed, according to a Facebook post by the Ramapo Bergen Animal Refuge. This heartwarming story of a beloved pet giving back to their owner reminds us of how sometimes we need animals just as much as they need us. During Brian's recovery at a rehab center, Sadie stayed with relatives and they stayed in contact every night through video chat. Number 4. Dogs save trapped owners after avalanche. A couple had their dogs to thank for saving their lives after becoming trapped during a terrifying avalanche in the Swiss Alps in early 2021. The pair were hiking one afternoon when the sudden influx of snow swept them off the trail in southwestern Switzerland, near the Italian border. They were buried under the cold, but luckily their dogs weren't, and the canines wasted no time letting anyone and everyone nearby know that their owners needed help by barking as loudly as possible. Some nearby snowshoers who were in the same valley but had not witnessed the avalanche overheard the dogs barking and headed toward the noise. They arrived between 15 and 20 minutes later and noticed one of the hikers' hands sticking up out of the snow. The other person was completely buried. The snowshoers worked tirelessly to save the stranded hikers, digging through the snow until the pair were freed. Thanks to their dogs and the diligent rescuers who paid attention to the barking, the couple survived with hypothermia and mild injuries and were airlifted to the hospital for treatment. Needless to say, things could have turned out much worse if even just a few more minutes had passed. Number 3. A canine king. Lucretia Slappy had just arrived at her home in North Carolina after working a graveyard shift one day in early 2021 when she lay down and quickly fell asleep. Not long after that, she awoke to her dog, King, tugging on her hair and scratching her. It was completely out of character for him to behave like that, and Slappy instantly knew that something must be wrong. She quickly realized that her home was on fire and the King was trying to lead her to safety. Speaking with local station WECT, she said that she felt like she was going to die, so she busted out the window, only to feel like the heat surrounding her had intensified. Fire crews ended up saving the pair, and Lucretia said that she felt like divine intervention had brought her and King together, and that it enabled them both to survive the catastrophic blaze. Slappy's sister, Shawn T. Middleton, told the station that King was given to Lucretia the year prior after the devastating loss of her son. The fire happened weeks before the one-year anniversary of his passing approached, making King's heroic deed all the more remarkable to Lucretia and her family. Number 2. Sandy the rescue dog saves elderly owner. One day in mid-2020, 88-year-old Gwendolyn Johnson tripped as she walked out the front door of her Glendale, California home and fell in the driveway. She couldn't get up and was unable to call for help, leaving her stranded on the ground in the hot summer sun. Johnson later told NBC Los Angeles that while she wasn't really injured, she was stuck and needed help getting back on her feet. She saw a nearby sanitation worker but was out of his view, making it difficult for her to get his attention. As he walked up Johnson's driveway with her freshly emptied trash cans in tow, she said to her rescue dog Sandy, "Go get him." Sandy sprang out into the driveway and ran toward the man, who was later identified as Kirk White of Glendale Integrated Waste Management. White knew something was wrong when Sandy approached him and wouldn't stop barking, as if to let him know that his help was needed. He followed the pup to where Johnson had fallen, helped her up and made sure she wasn't injured before continuing with his workday. Speaking with NBC Los Angeles, Johnson said that Sandy was always a good boy and that White came up her driveway at the right time. The harrowing rescue was captured on camera, and when Johnson's family members watched it, they cried. Johnson's granddaughter, Cheryl Malva, told local station KTLA-5 that in addition to Sandy's heroic actions, White also deserves praise because he took the time to investigate the dog's behavior, realize something was wrong, and take action, and not everyone bothers. Number 1. Brave Border Collie. While jogging together through a park in Prince George, British Columbia in 2016, 46-year-old Reed Roberts and his border collie, Pacer, encountered a black bear mother and her 2 cubs. It wasn't the first time the pair had crossed paths with a black bear, but it was their first run-in with a protective mama bear who was ready to defend her offspring against even the slightest perceived threat. During the previous encounter, the bear was farther away and made a bluff charge at Roberts and his dog. This time, however, she attacked full force and without warning. Roberts later recalled in a Facebook post how surreal it felt when he realized that this was no bluff charge and that he was about to experience the real deal. He described how the bear swatted at him with her front paws while he kicked in self-defense, and that he remembers little else before ending up on the ground off the trail. Pacer came to his guardian's defense by attacking the bear, which served as a temporary distraction. The bear came at Roberts a second time, making him think he was a goner for sure. But Pacer attacked the bear again and then took off down a trail, and the bear chased after him, giving Roberts a chance to seek safety. He wrapped his mangled hand in a t-shirt, dialed 911, and was rescued. Thanks for watching. Would you rather be approached by a frantic dog in the middle of the woods while hiking alone, knowing that their owner must be in peril nearby, or be the only person who notices with enough time to take action and save a child from oncoming traffic? Let us know in the comments below.